Hey, get out to the geeks. We're back. We've got an artist that has worked on Power Rangers and has done other phenomenal artwork that we're going to talk about. I'm going to bring some of her artwork that she's done. She has one of my favorite characters as well that she's done, and I'm going to bring that up and we're going to ask how she did that. Um, but she started off as in the fashion world and in illustration and transitioned to comics. And I feel she's been killing it on the covers that she's worked on so far. Everything I see her post, I like it. I like seeing her stuff. I mean, little stuff that she does on, I mean, paper like this big. I mean, you'll see it. I'll bring it up. But before we get her in the room, let's give a quick shout out to Dragons of the Alamo Ranch, guys. If you want to play D&D, Warhammer, Magic, Pokemon, Union Arena, or if you want to pick up graphic novels or pick up a subscription box, this is where you want to go. And then also our friend Nasser show that's going to be happening November 15th at the Red Oak Ballroom. Guys, you want to go here. We have up and coming artists, writers, legends. Um, Mike Norton's going to be there. Cully Hamner's going to be there. Two artists that worked on Blue Beetle, which is supposedly we're supposed to get one of the Blue Beetles in Peacemaker at the end of this last episode, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. But yeah, you want to go here. It's not waiting longer. Let's get Keyla Valerio in the room. Kayla, welcome to Countdown.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for taking the time. Now, you have been busy. You have been at Dragon Con. You've been doing the circuit. You're going to be at New York this coming week, right?
Yeah, I'm actually just doing the retailer day. So on Wednesday, it's like a nice little networking event. It's the inaugural year that they do it. So it's the
Oh,
first
okay.
year that they're doing just for a couple hours on Wednesday, just without the chaos of the show, so that like publishers and artists and editors can all kind of network for a couple hours. So won't be
Oh,
doing the whole show, but I'll still be there for a day or so. Yeah.
nice. And have you done New York Comic Con before?
Oh yeah, a lot of times. I actually worked that show a lot, either with my alma mater or for a little bit I was helping out Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC because he has his like own creator
Yeah.
owned thing. So there were a couple fall like NYCCs, and there was like one summer show that they did at some point that I was just helping him out, at the table
That's
for a little
awesome.
bit and kind of holding stuff down. But then yeah, eventually I just kind of started going on my own accord, for a little bit. This is the first year I think in a couple years that I don't do the full show.
Love it.
But yeah, usually try to go if they'll have me.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's on my bucket list. I've been to Emerald City. I've been to San Diego. I've been to was Wizard World when they used to have it in Chicago. I've been there. But New York's on my bucket list to go. But it's
Emerald City and San Diego are on mine.
they're great shows. Dragon Con 2 is on my list as well. How is Dragon Con? Is that the first time you went to Dragon Con?
It was the first time I went. Honestly, the group we were with, it was like my partner, who's also my rep, his business partner, who's our other rep, and then my best friend, who's another comic artist, and a couple of us. It was our first year ever going,
Wow.
and it. I'm gonna say it. It's a chaotic, hectic, nonstop because a lot of that stuff it's volunteer run by fans and of the show, and like it's all volunteers and people that care about that show, right? But then they really cater to the fans that go to it. So it's just 5 days of like nonstop stuff from
Yeah.
like the second they announce it, like a night or two before, or like maybe the day before the show starts, all the way up until the very end. um but it was cool. Like it was definitely something we want to go back to for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for fans who don't know, you started off you were wanting to work in fashion and eventually you got transitioned. I mean, you worked for one of the places I bought my clothes from,
Yeah.
Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, getting to work at a company like that and then transition to comics. I mean, where did your well for first of all, where did your love for drawing come from?
I mean, I'd been taking art classes as a kid. I think it was one of those things where we tried a bunch of different hobbies for me when I was a kid, and that was the one that like stuck, you know? Like my mom still has like really terrible kid art on the walls of our dining room, you know, just like and huge frames that I did from like a little Saturday class she used to take me to. But that's where it started. And then a friend of the family came to live with us for a couple years from Puerto Rico to study fashion design at the Art Institute in Miami. And I think that's what really opened me up to it because she was doing a lot of figure drawing, a lot of like fashion illustration, and I feel like that kind of gave me this like spark to pursue it more or like really take an interest into it to the point where I spent most of my childhood and teen years thinking I wanted to do like just be a fashion designer, right? And um, you know, I went as far as like doing a 4 year like high school where they had like a magnet program for fashion and garment making.
Oh wow,
Um,
that's crazy.
yeah, yeah, it's also in Miami, and you know, it's I went there, and then by the end of it, I realized I didn't want to make stuff. I just wanted to draw it. Um, and you know, with my grandma being a seamstress, like she had to help me with like every project. Sewing was not for me. Like I can do it, you know, but it wasn't something that I picked up, I think, as naturally and like as passionately as I did drawing and illustrating and just like mixed media and paint and stuff like that. So that led me to go to an illustration program also in Florida. And I think that's where I picked up more interest in like comic making, which I wasn't good at in college either, but I gave it a shot. And then, but yeah, just like really just experimenting with different materials and you know pushing myself to try like more creative stuff, you know, and that's how that kind of came about.
So do you think the because I mean basically for comic artists as well, you have to learn the anatomy. So do you think the fashion part of it, using the skeleton bodies done clothes and stuff like that, kind of helped you in a way for your comic side?
I think it helped me a lot more with gesture and trying to figure out how do I want to position stuff. I think
Okay, okay.
yeah, so to like get an idea of like, okay, I want this to have like a little bit of movement, or maybe it's something that's a little more static versus something that's like a little more dynamic, you know. But I think a lot of that refining and like learning things happened through college and then just through drawing throughout the years. And funny enough, like I ended up teaching at a college for a couple years, for 2 years. It was between 2022 or 21 and 23. Um, and I was teaching at the illustration program, but I was teaching anatomy and I was also
Oh
teaching a
wow.
figure drawing class. Mind you, uh, I know the names of things and I know how to draw them, but to explain like muscle groups and ligaments and all this other technical stuff was very difficult for me. And I think by like the last semester I was teaching that class before I left, I made it very clear. I was like, listen, I don't know the names of every single thing that's going on in your body. I just don't. This isn't a medical anatomy class. We're not doing that because that's how like
Yeah.
I was, you know, when I kind of like started that class and the material I was handed, I thought that's what it was going to kind of be like. And I was just like, oh man, I'm not equipped for this. I'm going to like study up on stuff. But I will say it did make me better at figure drawing. I had to learn even more at that point and like definitely get more familiar with vocabulary and how to explain and like verbalize stuff to students because they're very much like in early stages of learning this stuff too. So it's like I had to level up my skills to be able to make sure that they felt good about whatever they were learning. So by that last semester, I was like, I'm just going to teach you all to draw and make sure that you guys know how to draw this stuff and like, you know, compose stuff on a page and figure out like big groups of muscles and how to kind of define stuff and things to look out for and how to like put this stuff together in a way where you feel good about figure drawing because you know like all these big shapes and how to like and how they should and shouldn't be moving, you know, like it was just like to make sure that whatever they were doing felt believable and they were like actually capturing stuff as best as possible. I was like, you might not be able to like know every muscle ever of all time, but you're gonna know how to draw it and how to approach it, you know.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that was my goal by the end, and I think it did push me to get better at figure drawing and just the do better with it, honestly. It definitely like helped me level up my own skills as far as like digital and painting for sure.
So on that aspect of it, when you got your first gig and got your opportunity to work on your first comic, what issue would did they offer you to work on first?
Um, so to backtrack a little bit, I started with some like indie horror comics in like 2016. I did
Oh
two full
wow.
issues. They were very inconsistent. I was still very much like baby legs trying to learn how to do all this stuff. So I didn't have like a process or anything nailed down. I did the covers for those, and I think for me, that's what I enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
Um, it was a struggle to keep that going because again, I had a full-time job. So to like be able to also crank out books in the evenings, it was just a lot. But I felt like, yeah, I could do covers. Like it's like, one thing to kind of focus on, and then I'm done. So fast forward to the pandemic, and I started like lost that job of 6.5 years, found myself with a lot of time like we all did. So I was just like, well, let me try to figure out like how I want my work to look like from now on. Like really kind of
Wow.
objectively look at the stuff that isn't working about the stuff I was doing up to that point, the stuff I did like. Because I was also doing commissions. At that point, I was signed, but I was just doing commissions. I didn't have professional work. But that also helped me kind of like, elevate my technical skills and see things a little bit differently. And then from that old publisher from 2016, someone on Facebook was like, "Hey, we're looking for female artists to do covers for this stuff. It's a paid gig, blah blah blah. It's for like I think it was like 6 issues." Someone recommended me, and then I got an email.
Oh
So
wow.
it it was variants, which eventually, for the second installation of that story, I did the A covers for it. So the Cult of Dracula series that was from Source Point Press was like the first like six covers I think I ever did, like in this style that I've like kept on with, through the years.
Okay, okay.
So I did those variants for 6 issues, and then when they did their second volume of like story, I did the eight covers for those, and I also like redesigned some logo stuff to like fit the work and pieces that I was doing at that point. Um,
Wow.
so so yeah, it was just like kind of got a second shot with this publisher that I hadn't really like worked with or heard from for probably like 2 or 3 years at that point. But it gave me the portfolio to like cold email Boom and like a couple of their editors and be like, hey, you already work with with my best friend who's already like working with you guys. Here's the stuff I've been doing. I have an interest in covers. And I just sent them the stuff that I had done up to that point for that series. And then a day or two later, I got an email back asking to do Mighty Morphin. I think issue 14 was like a Scorpina cover and Goldar one. That was the
Yeah.
first one that I did for them. And then that kind of led to like either like the limited Megazord set that I did 5 covers for, highlighting
Yeah.
some like milestone issues, and then yeah, it's been on and off, like doing Power Rangers, like a lot of the one shots, the unlimited ones. So the Death Ranger, Hyper Force, uh, Countdown to Ruin, and Hour of Darkness are like the 4 or 5 that I ended up doing the one shot like unlimited covers for.
No,
Um,
those are covers are awesome. I mean, I have the
thank you.
Hyperforce in the background there, and
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
to
that's
work with
why I also
Melissa
brought it up.
Flores. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of her that's her favorite Hyperforce, and
Oh, really?
yeah, that's
That's
her favorite
awesome.
Hyper. I actually she gave that actual print away. I have it framed up on my wall.
Oh,
She gave
really?
Yeah, on TikTok she gave it
Awesome.
away like for fans, and I actually won it prior to interviewing her. Small world.
Yes.
Um, and she signed it, and so I have it there, and it's like,
It's really
hey,
awesome.
yeah, full circle,
Yeah.
uh, getting
I
to
fi
interview
I
you.
finally met her at Dragon Con too. It was my first time ever, like, actually, like, meeting her in person.
Oh,
I
nice. How
finally got a
was
chance to
that?
do that. No, it was great. It was just like, we obviously both there kind of working the show, but it was like one of those like, like we're finally meeting in person, high five, like, and hopefully I can like work on something with her in the future because I think that'd be great.
Yeah, no, that was her first show too, and
Yeah.
I messaged her about getting her back on to talk about her first con at Dragon Con,
Yeah.
and because she was doing TikTok about like every day about the carpet, and I was watching her. It was hilarious because
Oh.
it's a new show. I've heard a number of things about that show, and
Yeah.
it's on my bucket list because I heard it's just nonstop partying and everything else as well. But
Yes.
yeah, and I was just like, wow. This is one of the things I do talk to artists about. The world has changed.
Mhm.
They've gone from blue ink drawing to people have gone to digital fully. Some do
Mhm.
half and half. What is your preference?
I do half and half. And a lot of the I was doing fully digital until last year, mostly because of
Oh
time
wow.
and convenience. Um,
Yeah.
you know, just like going through a lot of like transitional periods the last couple years. I like was moving a lot, or like, um, just like or traveling for shows. So it was just like the convenience of being able to do it whenever, and like even in those travel times, or like if I didn't have like a full desk setup, it made it so much easier. But I think last year I just kind of made the decision of like, I don't want to say it was like a business decision, but it was, yeah, it was definitely like expand the lifespan of like whatever I was working on, right? Because you do these covers and you get like a flat rate. And if you're doing them digital, like, yeah, maybe you can make prints, but it's just like, uh, you can make like some stuff out of it. But I think the beauty of being able to do stuff traditionally, and like a lot of the collectors and stuff like that are also people that really love the art and really love those characters or those stories. So it's just like I want to supply something else that like I have like a nice, very nice group of like uh people that always like get my commissions or have like bought pieces and like have always been supportive. So I'm like, I can offer an extra thing and just like continue that support, but then also expand the lifespan of whatever it is I'm working on. So it's not just limited to like this one flat rate that I may or may not make prints of. And it's just like comp sitting in my closet. I wanted to do a little something else, and also to just like, I guess, reconnect with like traditional. Cause I felt like at that point I was, I think I just finally felt confident enough in my technical skills to be like, yeah, I've been doing everything digital at this point, and I like how it looks, and it's looking clean and sharp, and how exactly how I want it to look. And I think as an artist, that's a feat in itself. For you to like get to a point where you're like, my work is looking the very way I'm picturing it is already like a big deal. So it was just like, okay, let me see how I can, actually, I think I can actually do this on paper and still color it and have it fit in with everything else I'm doing. So I made that change last year to
It's
finally
one hell
start
of a
working that way.
change. One hell of a change, I can tell you, because right now I'm gonna pull up how it looks kind of halfway and then completed. And this is one of my favorite characters, as you can tell in the background, my Harley over there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a huge Harley fan. But yeah, this is the one I'm bringing up. This is beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
How long did it take you to do this?
One of those, it takes a couple days because
Okay,
it's
okay.
like, for those commissions, I don't work in that size anymore because it was just like very much a labor of love for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Because those are 11 by 17 like quality cover commissions. It's like several days of work. Whereas like the 19 by 19, the 9 by 12 kind of like 6 by 9s, like I can knock those out in a couple hours or half a day. Um, but those would be like, okay, I'm gonna get like a day of all the research, drawing stuff out. It'd be like a day of just doing line art to then do a sitting, like maybe two or three sittings until I got it to that point.
I
And
mean,
yeah,
you can't, and then if you that's the one thing about this. I mean, you have a gift because when you're doing this and you're doing the painting part of it, you can't go back and fix it. It's once it's yeah. So I give you props for what you do, and that's why I have you on countdown because, I mean, this is not only one piece. I mean, I'm gonna pull some other artwork that you have worked on, like this.
yeah,
I'm a Silac fan too. Like this is
yeah.
beautiful.
I feel like I have her up here. Yes.
Oh, nice. I take it
Of her.
she's your favorite?
Not even, I just really like drawing her. I feel like anytime I've gotten a commission that's a Psylocke one, and by the time I'm done with it, I'm like, "This thing's, like, really cool, and I don't wanna get rid of it." Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the hair, the outfit, the color. I always have a lot of fun drawing and painting her for sure. One of my
Wow.
favorite commissions that I ever did, one of the, like, 11 by 17 cover quality ones is of her that I did years ago. I'm still trying to get a scan of it, but it is, to this day, one of the things that I had a hard time parting with. Like, a lot of times I'm like, "Go off to your new home," but yeah, it was like that one and, like, maybe 1 or 2 other things that I was just like, "I don't wanna give this up."
So I'm gonna pull up another one because I got a few here.
Okay. Okay. Let's do it.
uh, this one, so I'm a Harley fan. My wife loves Gambit. So we had a dog named Gambit, and then we have Harley. Harley's still with us,
That's
but
cute.
this one is beautiful. How did you put this together? The colors, everything just, I mean, beautiful. How did you come up with like making it flow the way you did?
Funny enough, that one is also one of my favorite commissions, but it's one of the first commission. My partner actually has like a big sketchbook of Marvel commissions that he has gotten at conventions. And when we first started
Oh,
dating, that was one of the ones that he was like, "Yeah, just do whatever." And so I was just like, "Oh, do you like X-Men stuff? Like, can I do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, go for it." And that's what I came up with. It was just like
oh
a very
wow.
monochromatic, like, let's make the because he's got some really cool commissions in there, but I think uh the softer color, I think he might have like a cool little peach momoko jubilee in there too that was really cool. But I was just like, let's get like a little more colorful girly stuff in here, so yeah, I just those were always two of my favorite characters growing up, and I just felt like I want to do something that was like, I don't know, just like very sweet and like colorful and like not the usual like heavy ink that sometimes you see with like commissions. I just wanted it to be kind of its own thing and like work in a very limited palette. I think that was the thing. Like, I did a um, Planet Hulk commission for him as well in
Oh
another
wow.
sketchbook, I think, like a couple years ago. But yeah, that was like one of the first like multi-figure monochromatic, like, let's do something a little different than the other stuff in this book. And then the touch of yellow for her gloves and her outfit, but like very muted so that it wouldn't like pop too much for sure.
I'm kind of the same way. I love blank sketch covers, and
Yeah.
that's like my. So I have a set of artists that are on my bucket list. Like I'll go and I'll say, "Hey, can you draw me Harley Quinn?" And and I'm a Deadpool fan, Supergirl fan, so I have a mixture of variant covers or like that. So like I had Mike McCohen do a Deadpool with the sonic
Yeah.
screwdriver, the fez hat, and the bow tie, which is
Got it.
dumb. Yeah, but it's
A lot
just
of fandom.
when you yeah, but when you ask an artist to do that, it's a one of a kind. It's not copied
Yeah.
for anything else. It's just for your love, for your purpose. But that's what I love about artists, especially going down artist alley. And even to that, like, to be like, okay, when you first thing you would get to that con, you want to make sure you get to that booth because you want to get on their list. Because sometimes
Yeah.
they may have only 5 for the day or 10 for the day, and that is it.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, that rush of being able to do that. But like you, what is your when you're at a convention, do you have like a 5 commission, 10 commission for when you do a show, or depending on what they ask?
Um, yeah, like I said, since I have the good fortune of my partner also repping me, I can just yell at him from my office so that he hears me down the hall and just be like, "Can we just close the list?" Like, it's very easy for me to do that. Typically, it just depends. So, like, if people are going to be at the show, I don't want to bombard myself either, because at the end of the day, it's like I also have a full-time job. I help them with business stuff when I can, like designing stuff here and there or like overseeing things. And then, I have my own freelance career as well. So it's like
Oh
also
wow.
an extra thing on top of that. Thankfully, some of the cover stuff is slow right now. So it's like, yeah, I have time to dedicate to commissions and kind of keep busy that way. Um, so, like, for example, Heroes Con this summer was the most commissions I've ever gotten, because it was like mostly going to be people that were there to pick stuff up. So I think in total I did maybe two, one at the show, another I started at the show and had to take home. But I think by the time I actually finished it, and mind you, 2 weeks prior I had started doing my commissions. And I think I did 11 commissions for that show alone. But then
Wow.
fast forward to like Dragon Con, I maybe got like 4 commissions and none of them were for pickup. So it really depends on the crowd. Like a show like Heroes is very collectors heavy, so it's like those guys are gonna show up. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna show up. Always super like supportive, super casual, fine. But yeah, it was one of those where I was just like swamped. Thankfully, again, I feel like I've figured out a process, so it's like it wasn't taking super long to get stuff done either because I have like a set method now. But yeah,
Nice.
if that had been a couple years ago, I would have been like, I'm never gonna get these done. Like it's gonna take forever. And I was having that issue with the 11 by 17 cover quality ones. Just the like I started struggling a lot with like my like ADHD the last couple of years, especially in the pandemic. So for me, that executive dysfunction of like I want to get this stuff done, but I can't, and there's other stuff in the way. Next thing you know, that stuff gets pushed down, and it's like there's one guy I want to say I sent something else or I like did something else like, but that dude waited like a year and a half or two for one of those because then it was like backlog of like, well, I got to get these done for a show and that's immediate. But then I have this stuff that's like still sitting on the background and I'm getting busy at work or I'm getting busy with like actual deadlines. And the next thing you know, a lot of time has passed. And there's like, and it happens to a lot of artists too. It's just like, thankfully, with them now, it's like there's a clause when you like, or a disclaimer when you get your commission that it might take anywhere between like a couple weeks to a year because it just people's schedules change like this. Um, so yeah, thankfully it's just like, yeah, I have a couple commissions on my plate now. I don't take the oversized ones anymore because it's so much more planning and work and thought to put into it. And the smaller ones I can just have fun with and knock out in a day. And it's like, to me, those are fun. They're fun and they always like, I always enjoy them for sure.
And then I'm gonna bring that one up, the one that
Yeah.
I was kind of mentioning. So this one right here, it's a little bit smaller. This
Yeah.
one, gorgeous. Like, was
Thank
this a
you.
commission or was this something that you just did for fun?
That was a commission. That was the one from Heroes that I started there and I had to finish up at home.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I had started drawing that there, and the dude was super nice. Like, you know, um, just commissioned me there, like on the spot. He was walking around, like came up. I think he had some books, I forget, but super nice, and just like waited for me to finish. After I got home, and yeah, I love doing the lightning stuff, and I love the pop colors of like Power Rangers for sure. So it's just like they're always fun to do, for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that so for me, and I'm a huge David Mack fan. And when I see the way you draw and paint, I get a David Mack feel, and for some reason I just gravitate to his art. I it's just beautiful the way he does it, and yours reminds me a lot of it. I mean, even like you have another piece here that you did of a like a wrestler, like that one was
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. It's so funny you mentioned David Mack because I thought about that today. And uh, when I was like starting to get more into comics, like his Kabuki series that he had done, like I love the art in those books. But then also, it was I think Paulo Rivera's like Fantastic Four work that he had done that was like all painted like years ago.
Oh
I forget.
yeah.
It was the Mythos series, I think. Um, but that was like a huge inspiration for like comics and painting and lighting and like what you can do with like sequential storytelling and painting. Um, but then my actual like mentor and instructor in college was George Pratt, who did a lot of the Natsuke like Batman Harvest Blood, and his whole thing is just like uh, painted graphic novels. So that had like a huge influence on, I think, just like some treatment things for sure. Like the flow of like hair, fabric. I think movement eventually became like a bigger part of my work to like kind of thinking about like leading the eye in certain directions and creating focal points with that stuff. So, yeah, it's just really funny. I was thinking about David earlier, like his work earlier today anyway. So it's very funny that you brought that up. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I like. Another big inspiration for me is Yoshitaka Amano, the Japanese illustrator that did a
Oh
lot of the like
yeah.
early Final Fantasy stuff. One of my favorites, like absolute favorites. Which actually, like, I know that he had done some work for Sandman back in the day. So like
Oh
one of the commissions I had done, which I just got a scan of yesterday. Um, but yeah, one of my favorite commissions I did a couple years ago, I like was looking at how he approached his Sandman work and just like I want to bring this into a commission, and it became one of my favorite things I've ever done. you know. But again, it just comes down to like shape and movement and creating these like beautiful like focal points and yeah,
no,
that's the stuff I like.
no, you do a great job. I mean, that's why like I used. It was hard to pick what I was going to use as the background, and I was like, I
Yeah,
literally was going through like, man, this one's good too, this one's good too, and I focused on these three in the background,
appreciate it.
and yeah, and that's the one thing I can just look at artists' artwork, and so basically, like me as a collector, like you stated, people who buy the incentive covers are specifically for certain artists, and they'll either be like if it, even it's a 1 in 25, the 1 in 50s, or if cover A's, but those are the ones that people really go after. That when you find a fan base like you have found, because
Yeah,
not a lot of people are going to drop cash and say, okay, oh, okay, I'm going to wait a year for my stuff. That's a true fan who loves your art and is willing to wait for your art, because art is priceless, and in everyone's eyes, art is always going to be there no matter what. And to have that hanging up in your house, that's like a piece of like pride to have in there, like, like, hey, that's my one of a kind piece. um but yeah, like yours, I mean, you would be one of my artists on my list to get a sketch cover done, because and that's the thing, you can, like I said, we talked about before, you can go to school and get people can teach you how to draw,
yeah,
but if you don't have that passion, and then you can kind of see it too when you just do quick draws, no details of background and all that kind of stuff. But with
yeah.
your work, you can see the detail you put the shades, the colors, you know how to mix the colors to blend, but at the same time to pop. And I that's what I really admire from artists.
I
And that's
appreciate
one thing I
that.
was
Thank
going to
you so
ask
much.
you. Well, that's what I was going to ask you, since you were doing this,
Yeah,
is, and you mentioned comics. When did you become a comic book fan?
it's it's funny because I think it's hard to say. Um, I think it's been a very weird road for me, and growing up, it was like going to the arcade or like Saturday morning cartoons, obviously, which I think was very formative for a lot of us, right?
Yeah.
Watching stuff like Power Rangers, X-Men was my go-to, or then like it was like Sailor Moon in the afternoons when I got off school, or like staying up late to watch Adult Swim. But I think comics I feel like I've had a weird relationship with comics, like a very on and off thing, because uh, I I think it has a lot to do with girls being welcome in those spaces. And I
Yeah.
think that's what it really came down to, because I think, I would go to like Barnes and Nobles and like go to the comic section, the manga section. I could sit there and like I was definitely one of those teenagers that was just tucked in a corner like drinking Starbucks at the Barnes and Nobles and like reading shit I wasn't paying for. Like that was definitely me. But it, I don't know. I think at some point it's like I started to kind of get into stuff like between high school and college, and then I just felt like very out of place, like going to stores or like, do you know what you're looking for, or like,
Yeah.
like, well, what are you into? Do you know about blah? And it's like I don't need to be tested. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. So it always just felt like I didn't have like the luxury of just picking stuff up. So it just kind of turned into like, oh, maybe if I went to a show here and there, maybe I can get some back issues of something, or like pick up a graphic novel because I like the art in it, or certain art books. I think the actual, I don't I think to say that I'm like a comic book fan is like a little broad because I think it's more the art of storytelling and like that
Yeah.
I don't think that it should be unique to just well like Western comics, right? Like it's not all superheroes and stuff. Like there's like so many stories to tell in that
Yeah.
format. So it's I think that's what I really care about. And I think I picked up more of that in school through my old mentor and professor and like seeing what you could kind of do in different styles and like, you know, just figuring out. I think it also just kind of forced me to like figure out my own voice and like the stuff that I liked. And now I can kind of like a little bit of everything and not feel, I think it's like not feeling guilty or ashamed of like what I do and don't know about comics, right? Because like I think there's a big period of time where it's like, you either weren't nerdy enough or you were too nerdy and both of them were bad and you couldn't just be yourself and like liked what you liked. And I think thankfully now we're in this like era, or I think it's just also getting older and growing, you know, a little bit, but just like letting that stuff go and just liking what you like, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I don't know anything about, but I'm still gonna enjoy it. I'm still gonna like seek out the art and like the stories that I
Yeah.
do like that I'm familiar with, or pick up new things entirely. Like, and I think it's not just limited to comics, it's also just like hobbies in general, right? Like I'm gaming more now as like a 30 something year old than I did like in my teenage years, you know, like but it's stuff like that and just like reconnecting with that stuff. And I think for me, like doing these shows and especially with something like Power Rangers specifically, let me
Yeah.
kind of be like immersed in that a lot more, you know, and like just be okay with just liking what I like and not having to know everything about it and like prove myself in some kind of way, you know, or like needing that affirmation of like, oh yeah, she knows what she's talking about. I don't need the validation anymore to feel like
Yeah.
this is the stuff that I like and I do and don't know stuff about it, you know. Um, so yeah, I think those are my views on me being a comic person. This is just
No, and
comic
it's
fan.
true. Then that's the thing, you when you had a comic when you have a comic book store, you want to make sure the customer does feel comfortable. Like, I had a young girl come into the store who was looking for Transformer comics,
Well,
and basically I told her, like, "Oh, you're cool." I go, "Which one are you looking for?" I just asked her, and she's like, "Oh, I want the old school G1." And she had to be like 16, 17. But when I heard her say G1, I was like, "Okay, you are, you love, your
yeah,
your Transformers." And I was like, "Cool." I go, "Well, we've got this and this and that. You can jump in here." But that's the thing. You want to make it, I feel, making a comic book store feel like, a place you can go and geek out, talk about what you like. And
yeah,
because you can't do that anywhere else. Like, as grown-ups like us, in the real world, your coworkers, there's a lot of our coworkers that are not on our level. So you have to
yeah.
find your niche of friends that have the same mentality as you do. Um, and that's
Yeah.
what I like about here. Me and Asher will come on together, and he likes his stuff. I like my stuff. I like, but that's a cool thing because then we can both talk about two different sets of comics. And,
Yeah.
tells me about his stories that I'm not reading, but I tell him about what I'm reading. That's the best part. And then, like with you, Power Rangers, you drawing Power Rangers, and we were talking before we recorded. Um,
Yeah.
someone gave you a Green Ranger Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Which Ranger? I know this is gonna be hard. It's like asking which one's your favorite kid. Which Ranger do you like drawing the most?
I mean, drawing the most, I think I love the Ranger Slayer, and I got to
Oh
do
yeah.
like one or two covers of her.
Oh, that
Um,
one. Yeah, that was the one that I
yeah,
was gonna pick too. I couldn't. I was like, oh,
yeah, I think it's just a cool take on Kimberly, and I think the outfit and like the black and pink just looks awesome. Um, Dracon, Dracon, like with the white, the red, like
yeah.
I think it goes hard, you know, like it just goes hard. Um, and then I had done like a demo for a talk one day of the Death Ranger,
Uh
and
huh.
I think that concept's really cool. But I had done him like transitioning from like an old school like the original Ranger that he was into like the one that we know in the comics, right?
Yeah.
Which was like more burgundy, gold, black into the kind of like gray, black, gold that we like see on the cover that I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that one was really fun to work on, and then also like Goldar, like And I wish I had the opportunity to have like done more of him, but I just love rendering like metallic stuff. I think it's sick. So it's just like, man, but I only got to do like a little bit of him for like one cover, but then like Scorpion on the front, like the very first cover that I ever did for Power Rangers. Um, yeah, I at least got to do like all the metal rendering on her and stuff like that, like armor and
Wow.
sword. So it was just like it kind of balanced out. But yeah, like I have a Goldar toy around here somewhere where it's just like, yeah, he looks cool, and he's kind of underrated, like to draw.
Nice. That is so cool. You see, and that's the best part. Little things. We all have the characters that we like, and that's
Yeah.
the best part about it. Another question I was going to ask you, for the younger generation, the younger girl yourself, if you were talking to yourself right now, and she were to come up to you at a convention and say, "Hey, I like to draw this and that," what would you tell her and to either help her or guide her to continue to do what she does?
It's funny because like I think I get a parent and a like their young girl like almost at every show kind of come up and
Oh,
ask me
that's
the same
awesome.
thing. And it's always super sweet because you're just like looking at this kid and they're just like, like I like doing blah blah blah. So it's just like I think always super wholesome, very sweet. But uh, I think a lot of it has to do with just like I think figuring out what I like sooner, right? Like, I think the biggest thing that I don't want to say kick myself about, but I definitely kind of wish I had done a little bit differently, just art wise, career wise, just figuring out my interests and like what I'm good at a little bit sooner. And I think that also comes with time, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
not like I'm going to know right off the bat. And even then, that stuff might change, but I think not. And it's something that I think I still struggle with just as an artist now is like not worrying about what everyone else is doing and just like doing stuff my own way and figuring out how I want my stuff to look for myself. And not
Yeah.
because I feel like I need to adapt to a market or to whatever's cool and hip and like trying to kind of align myself with those things, right? So it's just like my personal values kind of being reflected more in my work. So it's like if it were a younger person or a younger version of myself, I'd be like, just draw what you like and draw the hell out of it, and like really take off with it and don't let people make you feel dorky or weird that you're drawing certain things, because it's just like if you like it and you're fully invested and you want to see where it goes, do that, and
Yeah.
not letting the stuff that you're kind of like seeing these like exterior kind of things kind of like make you feel like what you're doing isn't enough or like
Yeah.
not good or like no one's going to care about it because that's something I still struggle with now. But if I feel like if I could tell kid me to like not do that sooner, I probably would have figured this stuff out a lot sooner as well, and not feel like I had to try to fit in places that I didn't, you know.
Yeah.
I think I fit in this kind of world and industry a lot more now that I've figured out what my work looks like for me and like and my voice a lot better than if I were trying to like imitate and try to look like something else for sure.
No, it's true. You have found your place, and you going out and doing different characters. And I feel, for me, I would love to see you do either, Laura Kenny, X-23, female
Love her.
Daredevil. Yeah, female
Yeah.
Daredevil. I could see you bringing those characters to life. And it was okay. Now that I asked, the question is, which IP, if you had the opportunity to pick an IP from DC to Marvel and on work on a title for a cover, what IP would you want to do?
So there I have like a couple. Like one that I'm actively trying to figure out where to go right now and like pitch for. Um and that's Xena Warrior Princess. So I've been trying to
Oh, we
figure
haven't
out
had
how to
that in a
get
while.
I'm trying to work on it. And I've been making like sending emails and just hoping for the best, like Hail Marys, for a couple months now. So still trying to figure out where to go with that. But that's usually my like number one. And then when I thought about that, I was like, man, I also like I have some, like, Masters of the Universe stuff, like, I loved She-Ra. I had those, like, little golden books growing up.
Oh,
So, like, She-Ra, Catra, like, Evil Lyn. I had done, like, an Evil Lyn, commission years ago, and I just, like it completely just kind of reminded me of all this, like, stuff I used to watch growing up, so I'm like, I would love to do a She-Ra cover and, like,
oh,
just get, like, some real rainbow, like, her Pegasus, the shield, all this stuff, like, very pop color, but, like, still very my own. Um, but as far as, like, other stuff goes, like, I love Phoenix, like, that's definitely one of my go-tos. Obviously, I've been having a lot of fun with Psylocke, um, but, like, as per the commissions that I've been doing, but also, yeah, Phoenix, the new Absolute Wonder Woman looks sick.
oh,
That design's
yeah.
so cool, and it also goes hard, so I would love to work on some of that as well. And then low key, like a little Ghost Rider, like Robbie Reyes every now and then. And like you mentioned,
Nice.
Penny, like X-23, would love to work on her as well, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, Erica, if you are listening, she, she would do a cover because right now they've got Laura Kenny Sabretooth right now that the run they're doing right now. And she's
That's
writing
so
it.
cool.
Erica Schultz is writing that series and she's killing it story wise. She's when I interviewed her, she talks about how she everything she writes in that series that's based in New York is spot on. That you can go and look for that particular area, and it's
That's cool.
there. Yeah, and
That's really cool.
yeah, so that's what I like, and that's what you had mentioned. You research when you draw, so that you can make sure you do it and to bring it to life. And that's
Yeah,
the best part of artists and writers when they take that time to invest in research on the character, their clothing and all that. That's the
yeah,
best. You can't
absolutely.
you can't do any
I,
better than that.
yeah, I think it's just part of that paying attention to detail, right? And that kind of like meticulous, like, I want to make sure I get this right, you know? And I try to do that with everything, but then also put my own spin on it because obviously, like, the person's getting a commission, you know, because of your eye and like what you can kind of do, but it's like I want to put my own spin on stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they ask for something very specific, they're gonna get that, you know. But if they're like, oh, just this person with your own like spin flair on it, I'm like, I got you, you know. So like the Betsy Braddock like 50s like very early costume that I did for one of these like huge commissions, I took that same kind of color palette and like idea, but I completely modified it. Like the construction of all the garments and stuff like that are different, but it still gives the same sensibility as like her original costume. I wish I had like a proper scan of it. I'm still bugging that guy about it. Because I really truly like am upset that I parted ways with it years later, but it's I designed like costume for it and I love the finish of it and how it turned out. So it's just like hopefully I can get a scan of it again one day. But yeah, doing that research is just the extra a nice little extra step that shows you really care about what you're working on, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah, and I see that in your artwork, and that's why when I saw you and I had to reach out to you, we had been working on this for quite a while to get you on.
Yeah, I know.
But it is worth the wait
I
because
appreciate
to
that.
hear your story and how you got in here, that's the best. And then to see where you're going, I see you have a future to get to become like David Mack. Because to do cover art, a lot of people come into the industry that, oh, I want to do cover art. A
Yeah,
lot of people have to actually earn their way to do cover art because normally you have to start with interiors, build
yeah.
that trust with the editors and everything, and then you work your way to cover art. But your art spoke for itself, and you went straight into cover art. I mean, that is phenomenal.
Listen, I did my 2 interior books. They didn't go great, in my opinion. I feel like I still had a lot to learn. There was a lot of inconsistencies because I didn't know how I wanted to draw that stuff yet, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how I wanted to approach my own version of storytelling, and I also think I will say this, I have such a respect for people that do interiors because I think it's my best friend has been working on interiors. Vanessa Del Rey, I will always bring her up and preach the gospel of her work because this girl works so hard for everything she does, and to be able to work on the same stuff and sometimes the same thing across multiple panels at times, like if it's dialogue and stuff like that, or like having to kind of decipher like what a writer is actually trying to describe, and then you got to put your spin on it, but make sure that you're also like capturing what they describe. Like there's so many bits and pieces and revisions and thumbnails and like all this stuff that goes into it, to then also have that not be in your own voice but you still have
Wow.
to deliver. I think that's such a hard like thing to do. I think the beauty of covers is like for me it's a one and done. It's like a little puzzle that I can do at the end of the day, put it in a frame, cool, we're done. But like interior artists are doing so much, and they deserve so much more as far as like rights, royalties, money, time, everything, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like I don't want to say that I completely skipped it because I did like a small stint in interior work, but it was also years before I could approach anyone again. So it's not like I think the last kind of um, book that I had done maybe came out in like 2017, and
Wow.
uh, and it wasn't until 2020 or 2021. No, started 2021 is when I finally started doing covers. So there was at least like from end of 2017 to the beginning of 2021 where I wasn't doing any comic related stuff that wasn't just like
Wow.
for prints or for a show or like commissions, you know. I didn't do any professional work for a couple years. And then being able to do those variants for this one thing gave me the portfolio and the confidence and like, okay, I've got like a method down to be able to go somewhere else and like do that stuff. So it's just like, uh, you know, I I like to think that I at least like put in some work and time into getting into covers, you know. But yeah, there was definitely like a long stretch where I wasn't doing anything like that at all.
I mean, even that, I'm gonna bring this up before we go. So
Oh yeah.
fans can get. I mean, you have these. I take it you sell these at your booth.
Yeah, yeah. I have a set of Power Ranger stickers. So I have these guys, the Ranger Slayer. Like I said, I like drawing the Ranger Slayer and Dracon. So I have both of those as well. A good handful of Power Rangers prints, like a Dragon Con. I think some of my newer covers I like dropped as prints as well.
Wow.
For like the VR Troopers 20-year anniversary like flip book cover that I just did, made that into a print. Uh, the first Power Rangers Prime cover that I did was for issue 2, also made that into a print. And then I also have like little cover collection books. So it's just like for my first like several years of doing comics,
Oh
just have
wow.
like small little books, you know, just that have collected all that stuff in. And then I'm working on a couple other art books for myself as well. So Toon Mommy is the Sailor Moon like Sailor Luchadora that you like pulled up a little bit
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. I'll bring it back up real quick. Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna ask, how did what was this for? Was this a commission?
No, so that's for me. So I kind of wanted to do like a fun thing this
Wow.
year where I did my own take of like just cartoons and stuff that I grew up with that I liked. So we've got like I did doing some Sailor Moon related stuff, some like weird anime stuff, but then also like I'm gonna get into like maybe some more X-Men, like more American like TV shows or like comic stuff, and just like really doing my own spin and take on them and just doing like a little art book for that. So that's where that came from. It's like what I wanted the opening page of it to be. Um,
It's awesome. I mean, it
yeah,
and that's what caught my
thank
eye
you.
as well. So going through your art, I was like, it was just so hard to pick. I couldn't. If I would have bought everything I wanted, we would have been going through this through the whole
Oh,
time.
that's thank you so much.
No, 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 and that's the reason why. So if anybody wanted to get like a book, let's say they're not at the show, could they go online and purchase one of those books or the stickers as well?
Yeah, so if you go to www.theartistbullpen.com, uh, those are the guys that rep me. It's my
Oh,
partner,
nice.
his business partner. I help put together the site. I like that's where I'm creative director for, is like putting together all the web stuff and
Oh, nice.
like the promotional materials and like designing books for the other artists. But yeah, like we have a merch store there, so like my cover collection books and all my stickers should be on there. And then for the retailer day, specifically this Wednesday, I have a preview out for my new little art book. It's called Cuadros, and it's just like all the like commissions that I was able to get scans of, in the last several years. And
Wow.
I'm trying to put together a big art book for them. But there's going to be a smaller mini version that's available for the retailer day this week. And, hopefully I'll keep some at the show, eventually put some up on the side as well to hopefully help fund like printing a larger art book, either by the end of the year or beginning of next, for sure. That's the goal.
Nice. Hey, keep up the work. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what other covers you'll be working on later. But
Mhm.
yes, fans, go follow her if you're not following her. And she posts anything that she's working on, she'll post there. You can check it out. But go get these stickers. I need to go get these stickers because I want it for my laptop. And I had my Mac for the longest time and I just didn't want to put nothing on it. And so far, I got a Galactic Empire sticker on it. I've got my Harley Quinn piece on there,
Mhm.
and I've got Cullen Cully Bun Cullen Bun's sticker. He has a podcast, and he gave it to
Oh,
me,
okay.
and I got a sticker on there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get me these to put on my laptop.
I'll just send them to you. No one has to pick. I'll just mail them to you. That's fine.
Oh man, you rock.
Yeah.
Countdown. Thanks again for another episode, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time. This has been a great interview that I have been waiting for the longest time to talk about art with you.
I appreciate it so much, and your patience with all my moving and my craziness and travel the last couple months. And thank you for being so accommodating. I appreciate it.
Oh, great. Gay guys, peace.
Thank you.